AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun. Congressman Jamal Bowman says capitalism is slavery by another name. No, it's not. It's the thing that has given more people more prosperity and hope than any other system, flawed though it surely is.
Bill Maher isn't backing off AOC, and honestly, he thinks there's good reason for it. He fears she's being lined up to run the DNC, and if that disaster happens, he believes the party is completely cooked.
But again,
something like the free market is kind of synonymous with America. And if you don't like it, I don't know how you can say you love this country. You know who loves this country? You know who's not constantly complaining about what happened 200 years ago? And who's not obsessed with seeing America through colored glasses and shaking off the stench of what irredeemable privileged _ we are immigrants.
Years ago, Bill Maher waved giant red warning flags about Kamala Harris, but Democrats plugged their ears, hit the gas, and drove the party bus straight into a ditch at the 2024 election. Now he's blasting the alarm siren again, this time over AOC and her progressive Disneyland version of America. And trust me, Bill Maher is not pulling punches here. The man came in with a flamethrower, not a flashlight. So, buckle up.
AOC, Mandani are not Democrats. They'll be the first to tell you that. They're democratic socialists, and that's a very different thing, and I don't think people know that yet. I don't think people realize we already have a lot of socialism. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment insurance, food stamps, veterans benefits, Pell Grants, COVID-era payments, farm subsidies, disability payments, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, corporate bailouts, and the jobs program that is building weapons the Pentagon doesn't even want.
If you've been paying attention to AOC lately, she's been closely aligned with New York mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, and the messaging keeps getting.
They recently dropped a video encouraging every New York parent, legal status or not, to enroll their kids in the city's free pre-K and childcare programs. The bigger story is where this is heading.
Mamdani's campaign centers on expanding government-funded childcare and is now teaming with Governor Hochul to scale it further. Add his calls to abolish ICE and sanctuary city politics, and the pattern here.
That's what Bill Maher keeps hammering. He isn't against helping children. He argues the U.S. already has social programs that cushion capitalism without turning it into a government-run group project. But full-blown socialism, he warns, could leave New York feeling like a DMV waiting room with a flag, kind of.
The DSA are radicals about this concept, and radical economic policy is always ineluctably married to radical social policy. Their platform, for example, calls for completely open borders. They're for what Biden was doing, but more. You think you're going to win an election on that? This just seems like more extremism at a time when Americans are begging both parties, please, could just one of you act normal?
If you thought Biden was bad, Bill Maher says AOC is on a whole different planet. Put them side by side, and the difference hits fast.
Biden, messy as he is, still sits in the moderate lane. He backed looser border policy at times. Sure, but there were still rules, limits, and some attempt at control. Not perfect, but not chaos on purpose either. AOC is a different animal. She and her DSA allies don't just accept open borders talk. They lean into it. Fewer limits, fewer restrictions.
Lap the brakes when things got too extreme. She's way more comfortable taking them off entirely. That's the split Bill Maher keeps pointing at. Not just policy differences, but two totally different ideas of what America even is.
Okay,
I say the next time we have debates, the moderator needs to frame that question a little differently and say something about America that you like, because honestly, I don't know why the people who were fighting for this country so hard even want it anymore. And that's where Bill Maher's things start getting weird.
Weird. Why fight so hard to lead a country you sound like you're constantly mad at? If someone actually loves something, they don't usually spend every week dragging it through the mud. With AOC, the criticism never really turns off. It's constant, automatic, almost like a default setting. It doesn't matter what Trump does or what policies land. Jobs up, economy strong, paychecks improving. There's always a fresh angle of outrage ready to go. No real pauses, no moments of, yeah, that worked, just non-stop pushback on repeat. And that's the distinction Bill Maher keeps hammering. Calling out bad decisions is normal. Every politician should get challenged. But there's a difference between fixing a system you believe in and treating the whole system like it's fundamentally broken beyond repair. One is accountability. The other starts to look like resentment wearing a suit, and eventually voters can feel that difference even if nobody says it out loud.
A country that started out bad and will always be bad, founded on an unrelenting history of sucking, laughter, and unable to change. But we have changed a lot.
Bush tweeted, "This land is stolen land and black people still aren't free." And this was on the 4th of July. Really? Not that I give a shit about the 4th of July. I've never been a rah-rah guy. But I am a perspective guy. And that's what too much of the left has lost, perspective.
Bill Maher's bigger point is something you can't unsee once it clicks. There's a growing habit on the left of framing America as a collapsing dystopia instead of a messy but functioning country. And sometimes it crosses from rhetoric into overreach. Take Cori Bush's tweet claiming black Americans aren't free in the United States. That's not just spin, it collapses under basic reality. You can argue inequality, debate justice system flaws, and push reform. But saying not free in a country where black Americans lead companies, serve in Congress, sit on the Supreme Court, and have held the presidency, that stops being critique and turns into a cartoon version of reality. That's the pattern Bill Maher keeps pointing at. Turn every issue into existential collapse, frame every flaw as proof the system is rotten, and you stop sounding like someone trying to improve the country. You start sounding like someone convinced it's beyond saving. At that point, it's not disagreement anymore. It looks like a brand built on contempt, whether people want to admit it or not.